Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is Ifans, and welcome back to LEGO Arts. So, in the last episode, we did a showcase on part 2 of Spider-Man No Way Home, and for this episode, we are finally going to wrap up the No Way Home showcases with part 3. So, as you can see, we have our last 3 minifigures of the showcase. We have the Sandman, the Lizard, and as a bonus character, Black Suit Spider-Man from Spider-Man 3. So this showcase I saved for last because, as like in the movie, the two villains were pretty minor in most aspects, and it was mostly because like the actors playing as them weren't actually on sets. Apparently, they actually had to record their lines over. I guess it was because of like scheduling conflictions and everything. So that's why their characters were the only ones that were like CG. That's why we saw like pure Sandman and also like the Lizard stayed in transformation the entirety of the time. But I still wanted to make these guys just for the fun of it, and I have Black Suit Spider-Man here because I felt like the character was overdue for a change, and I wanted to include him for the showcase. Okay, so this should probably go by pretty quickly, but if it's not the same like as normal, then that's not too big of a deal either. So, anyways, as you guys know, our job, we're going to take these minifigures one at a time to review them, explain my process, why we're this route, and then go from there. So, without further ado, let's get the pedestal out and get the showcase on the road. To begin our showcase is Thomas Hayden Church's Sandman. So this character was pretty easy to do, probably the easiest out of all of them. It was because of the simple design that I wanted to go for this guy. So in the movie, he is pure sand, like completely pure sand, head to toe. But when I was looking for base figures to, work off when making this character, all the pure Sandman figures were like gone. They were all sold out. So I decided to go ahead with sort of the mix between pure sand and like the skin tone like we actually see as human side. I actually prefer this more because if I wanted to do sort of a Spider-Man 3 like kind of scenario, or do sort of a Raimi-verse Spider-Man little like diorama, then this would fit perfectly for that. So for the base of the figures is like pretty self-explanatory, and it's right, like we got like the official Lego torso all around here. On here, same thing with like the official piece of this like torrent of sand that he moves around, which I did think looks really cool. What I did was that I just painted up the sand components in a tannish paint coloration, and then went back with like some brown marker to kind of do sort of like the wrinkles in with the sand. I was kind of hoping to give it a more sand-like effect, but I honestly have no idea how to even approach that. That's sort of like one of those ideas in the back of my head. It's like, all right, how would I even do that? And I hope to one day actually figure out how to create something like that. And that I think it would need like some kind of like very grainy kind of texture to sort of like get that sand effect. But that would probably be a project for in the future. In the meantime, I really like this design because I think it works out pretty well for, like, again, if it wanted to be like Spider-Man 3 or just sort of like Sandman in the comics. But everything else is like pretty self-explanatory. Like on the arm over here, I painted up like to give up the short sleeve t-shirt, which actually turns out pretty better. I don't remember. Oh yeah, now I remember of like why I set it off at the side, because so that way that the paint, if I wanted to articulate the arm, the paint wouldn't chip off. So wanted to do that. Sorry, had a brain fart for a second about that. Painted up a little bit on the shirt collar to sort of like blend it all in together. The head I didn't change at all, even though I feel like the previous head that they used for Sandman would have been perfect. But again, that one was sold out, and that's why I couldn't purchase it. And then with the hairpiece, maybe could have gone something a little bit thinner. But I feel like that this worked out pretty well. It's much better than like the previous hairpiece that came in with it. I feel like that one it was a bit too shaggy for this particular character. This one I feel like with the paint up here and there, maybe a little bit shorter, and it worked out much better. But aside from that, it still like holds up to the character pretty well. So overall, again, this is a very simple like character. It's the most simplest out of all the characters, really. But I still like it. Because it's still Sandman, and probably like if Thomas's like schedule, I guess, wasn't like packed or anything, or if they were able to really put it together. Again, I don't know the exact details of it, but I think if they actually were able to have gotten the guys like on set and everything for these characters, I feel like we would have gotten more scenes with Flint and Marco. But even then, his appearance as Sandman was still pretty awesome. Next up on our list is Rhys, Ifans' Lizard. Lizard. So with this character, this is probably, I'm putting this in the category as like weirdest experiments that I've done, and the reason being is the approach that I went for with this character. So when making Lizard, one of the things that sort of crossed my mind when I was watching not just No Way Home, but also looking back at the Amazing Spider-Man 1, was the height difference between Lizard and Spidey. He's actually much bigger than like minifigures were putting it off at him. So I realized that like, what if I could try and capture that height? But he wasn't stupidly tall, really tall. Well, I guess he kind of was, but in sort of the sense for minifigures, I didn't want to use sort of a Woody minifigure for him. I feel that like that would have been too like over extravagant. And also with the legs, that when I purchased this figure from Etsy, it came in with these legs that I think they used for like the Demogorgon from Stranger Things. And so I think they're like the latest sort of monster legs that they're using. But I really liked those legs and I wanted to keep those in. But the problem came in is like, all right, so if I had those legs, how do I make him taller? So I experimented with it, and essentially what I did was I took my buzzsaw attachment of my Dremel tool, sawed the arms and the legs off at key specific points. Like if we lift them off for a second, you can see the areas for like I cut down here around like the ankle portion of the legs, and then with the arm, I just cut it directly at where the elbow is located, so that way it wouldn't damage the hand. And this hand definitely shows. It shows because I forgot to paint it up a bit by accident. But if you look over here, if you look over a bit, you can see that after cutting it off, I took some Procreate clay, put it in between the gaps between the legs and the arms, and then just merged them together to sculpt it out set the length of the arms and the legs, so that way he's taller while still maintaining like the shape and size like with the arms. And it actually worked out really well. It actually worked out because with the hands, I can still move them. I can remove them if I want. With the legs, they're not compromised, and I even made sure that when putting in the clay back in, I kept this guy on a stand and just positioned it correctly, so that way one leg isn't uneven and the other one is messed up. And it actually worked out really, really well. So I definitely am going to try this method again in the future, and hopefully if I use it with like official Lego legs, like the normal minifigure legs, it'll work out all right. So hopefully they'll go all right. But that's another idea for the future. In the meantime, when it came to painting up with the rest of the figure, I had to paint it up, and I was actually sad about that because it had a really, really amazing detailing with like the printing and everything. I kept the torso as mostly intact as I could, because I really like how the muscles like go all the way across the torso and down to the legs. But I did kind of have to paint it up, especially when I was putting back in the clay in to size it all up together. So I tried mixing in with my own green for the skin tone and just paint it around the character. I made sure to be careful about painting up the face because again, I like the face. I think it looks really, really cool. I made sure to paint it up around. I then went back again with various greens to sort of like do the skin and sort of like do like the scales down there. You could see like these random like light green lines. These were supposed to be representing scales. Half of them you can see, half of the others almost blend in perfectly, really with the rest of the skin. So I'm not sure if I would call this a win or sort of a fail that I would have to go back and fix. And then of course, like he's got this back tail piece that I honestly didn't know existed until receiving this guy. Like, oh, okay, this actually was a thing. So overall with this character, I really like him with my new approach of like extending arms and legs. I hope to do this again in the future, which I might for sort of the ideas I'm approaching with God of War and with the God of War Ragnarok, but that's another topic for another day. Overall though, although I probably could have done better of painting up with the base skin as well as adding in the scales, but I'm willing until I look that over with like the success of extending the arms and the legs again, as again, it came out really, really awesome. Saving the best for last, we have Tobey Maguire's, or as he's called by the memes, Bully Maguire's. There's Black Suit Spider-Man from Spider-Man 3. This character was definitely something that I wanted to get back to for a really, really long time. on time. So if you're new onto the channel, when I did my first Spider-Man showcase, like a few years ago, the Black Suit Spider-Man was one of the first minifigures that I did for that showcase. He was one of the first Spider-Man showcases. And for a long time, I really loved that character, especially the head. Out of all the Spider-Man heads that I made with the lenses and everything, that one was my favorite. And for a long time, I kept it as it was, only really changing it up when I redid the detailing for the webbing that one time. But apart from that, I never really touched onto the character. But for so long, I wanted to go back and change him up, especially to try and make him a better suit. So when I was doing this, when I was doing this showcase, I thought that, like, what? How about, while I'm doing this, how about I also upgrade Spider-Man and the Black Suit Spider-Man and give it a detailing? So when I was asking Fig5 Labs for the commissions, for the commission requests, I also requested them for the third commission to do a Black Suit Spider-Man, and they did a phenomenal job at doing this character. So to get it out of the way, all the character is done by Fig5 Labs. The only thing I customized really was the heads. This is actually the original head that I used in my first Spider-Man, but I repainted up the lenses to give it a new look, redid the webbing, and just kept it up as I went along. I used a gunmetal gray to do the outline of the lenses, which I think looks really, really cool. And a couple of like the silver lining detailing does kind of overlap here and there. And some of them looks a little bit bigger, but I'd say it looks pretty clean. And it was much better than using stupid gel pens. I'm never using those things again. But anyways, let's go ahead and remove the head. And here we have Fig5 Labs' official head, which I will say, doing the printing on, sorry for the redness, doing the printing on this one in comparison actually looks much cleaner than the red suit. Not sure why, but the printing that came out for this actually looks much better. Now, getting a full look at the printing, we can see he's got printed detailing on wrapping all the way around the figure. On the front of the torso, we can clearly see the sweet printing on the suit. With the symbol and everything. It continues on to the sides, and as we can see more on the back. And we also got the webbing detailing like going on the arms and the legs and everything. Everything looks really, really cool. And overall, they did a phenomenal job at this character. It looks super fantastic. And as a little bonus, just because I really wanted to at the last minute, here we have also the head for Peter when he's having the mask off. This was purchased by Firestar Toys. Actually, after I purchased the other three heads, I didn't purchase this guy until recently. And it's the hairpiece. He's also using the same one that I used for the Rob Pattinson Batman head, because I felt that like the hairstyle matched up perfectly with his look in the movie. And I really like the expression it really goes. And it goes for Peter while he was wearing the suit at the time. Sort of that cocky, evil smirk that he has throughout the movie. And complete with the suit, I think it matches up very, very well. So overall, again, even though the suit doesn't appear in the movie, I really wanted to go back and redo the Black Spider-Man, because while back then when it first came out, it wasn't really good, and nowadays people are appreciating it more. But even then, I will not deny that it is probably the coolest black suit design I've ever seen. I really love it because it's something different, and it matches out very, very well. And on minifigure formats, it looks super amazing. So really going back to this character is both nostalgic in a sense of like reminiscing from seeing the movie from years ago, and also like as a customizer of going back to one of my favorite customs and like really seeing it in a new design is just really, really amazing. Alright, that is going to do it for this episode of LEGO Arts, and that concludes Spider-Man No Way Home as a whole. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So as you can see, now we have all the characters from all parts of the showcase all together, and I think looking at all of them in the same screenshots, it looks super amazing, and I'm really proud how each of the figures came out. Even though half of them were already pre-done, I still love how well they made them, and because they look super awesome, and this was a really, really fun project to do. I'm really glad that I finally got to finish this with some other characters that I did debate of whether or not to do, such as like Mysterio or Vulture or Venom. Mysterio, I honestly had no plans of doing until like the last minutes, but I was already far at that point. I was just like, I don't want to do it. With Vulture, I'm not sure how to approach that guy. approach that guy. So again, he was pushed off. With Venom, I did actually purchase like one of Nate's minifigs, like Venom mold and Venom figures. So as we can see, you can show him here that I painted this guy when I was doing like the Batman armor and did a couple of detailing here, but I didn't want to include him into this project because like I'd already done like the black suit and wanted to include that as sort of like the third character. And also, I'm actually saving this Venom for when we get more information on Marvel's Spider-Man 2, because I'm really intrigued to see like what the design of that Venom is. And I definitely have plans to try to do a Marvel Spider-Man 2 showcase. So I'm saving Venom for the future, But either way, though, again, with the progress that I made here, it's still amazing, Each of these characters are awesome in their own way or forms. And while there's still some changes that I'd like to go here and there, in the end, at the end of the day, I still love the final results, and it's super amazing. So, for our next few projects, the next ones are actually going to be something different. It's going to be a mix of review and also showcase, and I'll explain that when we get to it's there. I'm also working on another side project that didn't really have overall plans for it. Just thought it was something that it'd be fun to do. But I'm working on that currently after pushing it off for a while. And as I keep saying, God of War Ragnarok is still on hold. I'm still waiting to get like some more information on the characters, but I am at least making my move on one of the characters. I won't explain who, but I'm hoping to get it done and to at least get a starting point on that very soon. But either way, that is pretty much going to be it. So, if you guys would like to see more videos like this in the future, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications. If it helps us, we can like this, like products, and make it lots of fun. So overall, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time in the next episode. Bye-bye!